so in this second video, when we're looking at these questions or these steps, one important thing to notice is that there is a difference here, between the first three steps and then the rest of the steps. If you're looking at the first three steps and the questions, it's very surface level, it's very concrete. You know, what are you seeing? What are you noticing? And then what were the major events that were happening at the time? There's a little bit of interpretation or analysis when you're thinking about the political climate. We talked about that there seemed to be some tension or some disagreement about the particular methods or systems used to determine representatives. But largely, this is something that you can pull straight from the case study or you can pull straight from the source. When we're getting into these next steps, it's going to require more in-depth analysis, and you're going to see me add a little bit more of my own voice into my answers, where I'm making meaning or I'm making sense of the various parts of this source, and I'm trying to synthesize or create or connect this meaning that I'm making from different parts of the source to the meaning and the sense that I made from the case study, and I'm trying to put that together in a coherent answer. So it's going to require a little bit more high order thinking, and it's in this stage that you're going to start including your own voice or your own interpretations into your responses. If you ever get caught up and you're struggling to be able to find the language to communicate your answers, if you're looking at your handout, there is on the last couple pages of the handout, I've given you some sentence starters or some sentence templates for each one of these steps that could help you, be able to find the words to really convey what you're trying to say. All right, so when we're looking at step 4 here, author's perspective. All right, so coming back, author's perspective. Consider the perspective of the author or the creator of the source. Try to understand their backgrounds, beliefs, and motivations. So, do we know anything about the author? Why did they write it? All right, in this case, why did they draw the political cartoon? Do we know anything about what they believed? Either from any sort of background information that we have about them, or looking at the source, are they expressing their thoughts, their beliefs, their opinions in this political cartoon? Or if it's a written source, are they doing the same thing in the writing? And then once again, trying to look and think back to what's happening around them. So we know, for instance, here, going back to this, that we know that this is the editor of a newspaper, the Boston Gazette. And he looked at it and he said that it looks like a salamander, and somebody said call it a gerrymander, and then wrote up or drew that district in the shape of this salamander, of this monster, and then came up with the caption, "A new species of monster which appeared in the Essex South District, January of 1812." And then it said down here, "O generation of vipers, who hath warned you of the wrath to come?" And so let's look at some of these questions here. Why do you think that this editor created it? What are they expressing their thoughts or their opinions here? And so I'm thinking that the editor created this to express his disagreement, right, or even anger over the new district lines. All right, that's something that I'm taking here. That's what I'm inferring from the background information that I've given, and some of the things that I'm noticing here as far as the title, right? A new species of monster, right? Who hath warned you of the wrath, right? Of the bad things to come because of this district plan. The other opinion that I have from this political cartoon is I believe that the editor, was upset with the governor, right? Because he names the monster after Elbridge Gerry. All right, so starting to get an idea there of the author's perspective. So the intended audience, if it's a newspaper, then his intended audience is the general public. All right, it is meant to for anybody that is going to be that's in the community and looking at the newspaper, which at the time the newspaper is the really the predominant form of mass media or mass communication. All right, so let's keep on going. Connections. Looking for connections between the source and the broader historical context. In other words, does the source respond or reflect the events or issues of the time period? Does it make any direct references to significant historical events or figures? And I think that it does. Some connections here. The source, right, definitely, right, reflects the conflict or debate over the process of drawing district maps to select representatives. And the conflict is about really about the perception of fair maps. Not using your power, being the majority party in Congress, or in this case, the state legislature, not using your power to draw unfair maps to make sure that your party stays in power. Are there direct references to significant historical events or figures? Yes, right? There's direct references to this district, right? And there's a direct reference to the governor who signed this bill into law, naming this monster after him. So yes, there are direct references there. So we're starting to make some connections here. When you're looking at the use of language and symbols, I think that we've already done that. Looking at the use of language. Using the word monster, right? Using the phrase, who hath warned you of the wrath to come. This use of language there is really providing you clues about the values of the editor, the beliefs of the editor, that this is an inherently bad thing for Massachusetts voters. And this would be a bad thing for democracy and a way to select representatives and to have your voice heard. Those are the clues I'm getting from the language. The symbols here, drawing or redrawing this district map, in the shape of a monster, gives it an inherently negative connotation. So there's some symbols there about the ideas or the values and beliefs of the editor of the Boston Gazette. And then once again, right, using the name of the governor to name this monster, it gives you some clues here about the ideas and values of that time period. So this next step there is step 8, drawing conclusions. You can compare it with other sources provided from the same period or relevant topics. And then you can explain how the source fits into the larger story of history and what it was revealed about the time it was created. And so before we start looking at the last couple steps, just kind of looking back here, we only had, and I'm looking at the pre-assessment. So we only had one source, so we weren't able to put the sources in chronological order, but we definitely could identify the date and the time in which the sources were provided. Looking at the next question, we were able to explain the historical context in which it was produced. That was really step 3, and even step 4, right? Looking at the major conflicts or and changes that were happening. Looking at the author's perspective and the opinions that they were showing and sharing in this creation. We were also making those connections between how the source reflects or responds to, right, the events and issues of the time, and we brought in some of those examples from the case study. And really here, the next couple of steps that we're going to look at, we're addressing question 3. And question 3 is really part of question 4, explaining why the time period of the historical source is important in history, and then identify any problems or challenges here. So I wanted to take a moment just to kind of show you how these steps lined up to the pre-assessment questions that we were looking at the other day. So just kind of going through this, looking at step number 8, drawing conclusions. So you want to compare with other sources provided from the same time period or relevant topics. And so today with this modeling, we only have one other source, or we only have one source. So I wanted to compare it to relevant topics. And then we want to explain how the source fits into the larger story of history and what it revealed about the time in which it was created. And that's just a fancy way of saying, what does the source reveal about the time period? And then allows us to say, what type of importance can we attribute to the time period based on our understanding of the source and the other relevant topics that we got from the case study. And then last but not least, we want to be able to talk about why we were able to make those conclusions by bringing in evidence. And then also talk about some of the challenges or problems here when we're trying to use a source or maybe a number of sources to make a conclusion or a generalization about why a particular time period is important to us. And so let's look at number 8, drawing conclusions. So I would say that, in conclusion, based on my analysis, I believe that this source reflects the importance of the time period because it addresses the challenges presented at the emergence of America becoming a democratic state. Specifically the challenge of how do we create a system in which people can exercise their right to vote, exercise the power that the Constitution gives them, to choose representatives and to choose it in a fair and orderly way. So this source really reflects the challenges of that time period as far as how are we going to decide a method to allow people to use their power to determine their representatives. And so that's the conclusion that I'm coming to. And to support this, I can point to several pieces of evidence within the source. Number one, I can point to the perspective of the author, that this is an inherently negative view of the way that Massachusetts went about drawing the district lines. I can say this because the fact that in the caption it calls this districting plan a monster. It talks about the wrath to come, so this is just a start of bad things to come. The image here is one of a monster. It doesn't look like a good thing. It looks like something evil and malicious. And finally, it uses the name of the governor who signed this bill into law, right? It uses it as a title, right? It takes the name of the governor to name this monster, right? So I can point to that evidence. Additionally, I can look at those examples from the case study. Specifically the fact that there were 6 states that used at-large voting and they didn't do the district voting. I can point to how the fact that James Madison, narrowly avoided defeat. Because the district lines were drawn, with the purpose or the intent to try to get him to lose the election. I can point to other quotes from the bottom of page 2 and the bottom of page 3 from states like Pennsylvania and New Jersey, where there were critics, right, of people or critics of the district method of voting. And you can look at the bottom of page 2 with a quote by William Pitt Beers of Pennsylvania, and then you can look at the top of page 3, William Pennington from New Jersey, who talks about the downside, right, of that district system. And so those are some things that I can point to kind of give me an understanding as to why this time period is important, that it's a time period that represents America experiencing the challenges, right, of how can we, now that we've created this democracy in this democratic state, how do we allow it to actually function? How do we allow people to exercise their vote in a way that's going to be quote unquote fair and consistent across state lines? Now, the challenges here in doing this, in defining this particular time period, is that we really only use one source. All right, we use this. And, this one source only presents one particular point of view. And so that's a challenge, that we were given a limited amount of perspectives about the district system, and about the major issue that really kind of encapsulated this time period about how do we come up with a system or a method to allow people to vote for their leaders. And so that would be a challenge that historians might have to address later on. And that's a challenge that we would have to address as well.